So it's actually one of the reasons that I got most interested in this project and working with the founders who are, most people have heard now, the same founders of Power Ledger, quite successful. This platform was developed for both of these projects, and so we're able to come out of the gate running a little bit more. And this has sort of a unique token economy to it. There is a outerlying utility token, and that token provides a buyer or a user access to the actual platform. And in the platform will be this sort of array of assets, which will be the vehicles. And the assets are tied to a token. So when a registered agent buys these vehicles, they will fractionalize them, they'll tokenize these assets and their title on the blockchain, and they'll provide sort of an array of, if you were just to make it easy math, if it was $1 million vehicle, you could have 1 million tokens, so to speak. And so there'll be a conversion rate where you will use your utility token to actually buy the asset tokens. So you would go into your virtual showroom and select your Enzo or your LaFerrari, and you will use your utility token to purchase that. This creates actually a very dynamic relationship on the sort of economy, because as you use the utility token to purchase the asset, you are creating a demand restraint because you're taking supply out of circulation, which creates inverted pricing pressure. Conversely, by consuming the asset tokens, you're taking asset tokens out of circulation. And there are some other advantages as well, because we're taking cars out of circulation for a minimum of 5 years. So that will put some pressure in the market, aside from the fact that we're bringing loads of people into this market that weren't typically buyers before, which will hopefully create some pressure on the demand of the vehicle as well.
And are you buying a percentage share in a car, or are you buying a physical, are you buying the upholstery or the steering wheel?
So you just imagine, I guess probably the easiest way to imagine is if you were to take the title of the car and to fragment it into its bits, and you own a piece of the title of the car. So you own a piece of the entire car. You can mentally sort of adopt it however it works for you, the cigarette lighter, the turn signal, yeah. But you would really own a piece of the title of the vehicle. So you could buy half the car, you could buy a third of the car, you could buy $50 worth of the car. Really, it's based upon the user's desire and level of interest in ownership.
So you can break it up into as many pieces as you like?
Yes, absolutely.
And who's your customer?
That's actually a really good question. So I would say the predominant customers are the folks in the middle market who don't typically have access to these types of asset, although we have gotten significant interest from those folks who actually currently own these vehicles. And so those folks who have spent years and years and years in that market realize the economies of scale business model that this is, and this sort of allows them to fractionalize the expense of carrying these vehicles. So they have a strong interest in converting some of the inventories. We're not taking any car. The owners have spent a lot of years developing an applied algorithm to sort of make very specific decisions about what cars to buy, what brand, how many were manufactured, what was the engine style, what's the model type, what's the demand in the market at the time it was purchased. So many factors go into making that decision, because we want to buy the right vehicles.
And what stage are you at? Are you live?
So we've already developed a platform, tested the platform. One of the advantages, again, of sort of having founders that also developed Power Ledger. Right now we're sort of gaming up the piece that allows the user to trade their asset tokens with other tokens. So an owner could say, hey, I want to trade my LaFerrari token for your Enzo token, as an example. So that piece will sort of be wrapped up in the next coming months. We look to have the assets come live on the platform in about July of this year. There's going to be quite a bit of exciting news in between, because we've established some really unique components of the experience, and both the experience and sort of the partnerships aligned with BitCar, there's a long-term value proposition because we're very excited about getting into things like autonomous driving vehicles and the future of the automotive industry. So BitCar wants to align itself as being sort of a premier access point for the automotive sector. Well, I think the roadmap now sort of gets into, as we're highly concerned, right, which is being good at what we're doing now. And I think that's the best track to follow, given my experiences, to be really great at the one thing you do well and then expand on that. So getting to July will be the major piece, and then sort of really honing in on the adaptive quality standards for those broker agents who sort of represent the buyer class. So it's really, you almost want to look at it as sort of as an e-trade. We're really just merely facilitating a buyer and a vehicle, and allowing them to trade those assets. By the way, I didn't mention that those utility tokens will be liquid, so they can be traded peer-to-peer or on the exchanges. So they don't have to wait 5 years to trade their tokens. They can do that at their own pleasure.